and welcome back to the Dragon's Corner. Well, I'll be doing another daily reading for the Dragon Within Saga Convergence, Book 1. And we left off where Drin had just woken up and decided to sit on the edge of his bed instead of lay down and sleep a little bit. So here we go. Drin, my Ecklerin, it's time for you to rise and join the rest of us, voiced my mother as if she had an arcane gift to know when I had become part of the woken humanity. We were all excited to hear your name spoken by Lord Morton Henshead at the beginning of the tournament. I'll be out shortly, Drasheen, I said groggily, still battling my primal desire to sleep. Just as I was donning my breeches, I heard the deliberate steps of my father enter the house. Is Drin up? He asked casually. Both my mother and father had decided to let the family sleep longer and forgo our morning and midday chores because of the necessity that we be present for the first day of the festival. The remaining days, however, we decided to stand the way we had for all the years of our lives. Chores would be done, lunch would be eaten, chores would be done again, and dinner would be eaten at the early hour of 4 in the afternoon. We always supped in the pre-evening hours, as we still had several more chores to complete, and postponing dinner until after they were completed was impractical for a very good reason. While postponing it until after all chores had been completed would appear to lack any detriment to the rhythm of the day, doing so would extend the amount of time between lunch and dinner, resulting in a loss of energy from the rigors of farm life that would negatively affect the integrity of the evening chores. In the more succinct terms of my father, we eat early to prolong our strength until the day's chores are complete. Yes, my dear Sona May, he has just risen and is dressing now, my mother answered my father as she kissed him lightly. Good. We will indeed be in time for both the feast and the tournament. Tell him that I and his sisters are eagerly awaiting him, he said. I had better go outside and see what our little girls are getting into. Hopefully they learn their lesson with the bees. Rounding the corner from my bedroom to the kitchen, where my mother was busy cooking our breakfast, I realized that this could quite possibly be the last time I would have breakfast with my entire family present. Normally, we did not get the chance to eat breakfast together because my father and I were up well before dawn. While my mother worked shortly after we did, her chores were confined to the house because of my sisters. I had never seen my mother's set of morning work, though each time I entered the house following my morning duties, things were always in order. And by things, I meant to include both Hythline and Genola. On the rarest of occasions, my sisters would rise late enough, allowing my father and I to join them for a morning meal. However, this was the exception and certainly not the rule. My sisters, while only 8 years of age, possessed none of my objection to an adequate sleep and seemed to require much less than myself when I was their age. As a result, by the time my father and I had completed enough to warrant a pause in the day for sustenance, they would already be either outside working on some grand scheme to see the world or sitting in study. So when I rounded the corner and did not see anyone sitting at our table, I became, for lack of a better term, saddened by my current thought. Noticing the small change in my facial expression, my mother asked, "What is wrong, my Ecklerin?" "Oh, nothing really. I'm just still tired and not fully woken yet," I said, trying to cover my emotions. "That is good, because you have 2 younger sisters who are eagerly awaiting you so we can go to the festival. I do not think they would appreciate being made to wait longer," she said with a faint grin, implying all the youthful impatience contained within 2 8-year-old girls. "I know, Mother. It's just that, well, I'm going to miss everything," I said as I looked around the kitchen. "Everything? I know this is a great opportunity. I know how important it is to the Empire. And I know that it is something I have to do, but..." As I paused to look for the proper words, my mother deepened her grin into a smile of affection. "I'm really going to miss everything." As I finished, the weight of the moment began to build, as reflected in my tears gathering my eyes. Everywhere my eyes fell, I saw something I would miss and quite possibly never see again. Clearly, my mother noticed. "Oh, Ecklerin, you are going to be missed too," she said as she walked the 2 or 3 paces between us to embrace me in a hug I had not felt since I was much younger. Her hug brought back emotions and memories of when my mother sought to convey protection from fears and hurts and all other mistakes associated with youthful vigor and impracticality. All things work for the greater cause. Sometimes we just don't know what that cause is. Sometimes we just need to trust. Look at your father, she said. With that direction, I did indeed look at him through the eyes of a child, not as a young man embarking upon the greatest adventure of his young life. As I did, my tears began to flow because I was unable to ignore the emotions that had been building for months. As if my mother sensed my increased production of tears and subsequent river drooping from my eyes, she paused to tighten her embrace. Look at your father, Drin. Had he not lived his selection exactly the way he did, I would have never met him, and you would not have been born. Do not be sad for what you leave behind, my son. Be happy for what awaits you around the corner. You are such a good boy and have become such a great young man. It is with pride that your name will be announced. A pride that is shared by both your father and myself. She gave me one last quick embrace, stepped back to arm's length, while still holding me about the shoulders, smiled and added, Now we must go to your festival. I made something for us to eat on the way. Take these and make sure you give 2 to each of your sisters and 3 to your father. You may have 3 yourself. All right? We're going to end right there with that reading. Tune in for the next one and find out what lies at the festival. Thank you very much, and never forget to release your dragon within.